Okay, so welcome back to not my shop. This is my actual computer room. So I just want to give you guys an update on how this project is going and why it's taking so long. So, as you know, my project that I'm working on is adapting the 13-inch southbend from a small dial cross slide to the large dials. That entails making a whole new bushing for the whip that screws into the compound that the dial rides up against, and it will also entail modifying the actual feed screw for that larger bushing. So it's kind of an involved process. So I needed some place to start. So I needed the actual measurements of that, of what is on a large dial 13 for that bushing. So I put the word out, and thank you guys so much, because a ton of you guys emailed me. And I know I probably didn't get back to everybody that emailed me, because I picked a couple of guys and they gave me the measurements. So first I want to thank Mark. He sent me measurements of his, nice hand-drawn sketch, perfectly acceptable. And also Rick went the extra mile, and he actually made up some CAD plans from through Fusion 360. So this is what is the measurements of what is originally on a 13-inch southbend from the factory with the large dials. And also, Mark, in case you're watching this, your measurements were pretty much within about 1,000 of all these measurements on here. So obviously the parts are pretty consistent. Now there's one problem with this. If I can kind of show you a little bit over here, the way these are set up is you have the large dial is right here. Then you have a little collar on the inside of that the actual dial spins on, and the hand wheel and a bearing here kind of trap that collar in place to take out all of the play in it. And there's also another bearing down here that goes over the shaft, the handle shaft, and rides against that gear that feeds the power feeds. Now, what Southbend did is they used a proprietary 5/8 bearing, 5/8 ID ball thrust bearing. This is a standard off-the-shelf part. It's about $5. All right. Cat has to come say hi. Southbend used a proprietary bearing. This bearing here, an off-the-shelf bearing, is too large to fit into the actual cross-slide hole, the hole that the bushing goes into. The outside diameter of this has to be less than 1 inch, and the outside diameter of this is 1.1 inch. So it's not going to fit in that hole. Now, the bearings, you can get one. All right, I looked around and did some searching, and I found on some forums of somebody who had bought one from, I believe, Motion Industries. They bought the actual proprietary bearing, or one that was very, very similar, that would fit and would work, but it's like $75. So I wasn't going that route. Since we're remaking the entire thing, I'm just going to adapt a 1/2 inch bearing in there. So instead of having that stem of the handle be 5/8, it's going to be 1/2 inch. And our measurements and everything will work out fine. Now, because of because I'm using a different bearing, and then also because of the fact that I am adapting a different feed screw, these measurements here, the lengths are a little bit different. Obviously, this pocket right in here is going to be different because we're going to be using a different bearing. And also this length from the end here to here is going to be different because I'm going to be using a different bearing. And also, as I said, I'm adapting a smaller cross-slide. So I wanted to get all the correct dimensions first, and that's what I was working on. So I basically made this up and have all of the actual dimensions in there. Obviously it's not finished, but I have the correct dimensions here that I need to be able to fit. Now the reason why I wanted to get all that set first is because I want this project, I was talking to an editor of one of the machinist magazines, and I'm going to be doing or submitting an article of this. I'm going to be doing the project, taking some pictures, doing an article write-up for it and submitting it for publication. It's probably going to take a while to go through their editing process and everything else like that before it actually makes it into a magazine, or even if it does make it into a magazine, there's no guarantee. But I want the video to be part of that article or go along with that article. So because of that, I needed to work out all the kinks first so that the video has the correct measurements and everything else in it. Also, because of that, I needed to change the actual drawings around a little bit. So I have Fusion 360. I haven't really played with it a lot. This is actually the first time I'm ever doing anything with it. So I made up a sketch of the part that I made with the measurements that I have. And all those measurements are based off of Rick's measurements. I just adjusted them to fit what I needed. And I decided, well, hey, maybe I can make one of those models too. So I put this up in there, and I did it with the correct bearing hole and the correct length from here to here, and did a quick set of drawings that will go along with that article. And when we get to the video, these will be available for you guys also. So that way there, and I have it set up so that we can measure. We start from the outside end here. So basically our chuck will be over here. We'll be chucking on the larger diameter, and we're always measured off of this front face. So you guys with a DRO, or if you have a DRO, or you know, some way of measuring your carriage travel, you can very easily just plug in those numbers right from that edge and you're good to go. So that's pretty much where we stand now. Basically all I got to do is just take this one, and I just got to finish it up and make sure that those measurements are 100% correct, and adjust the drawings if I need to, and then I can actually start filming. And I've kind of been throwing a wrench and everything just to get the baby's room all set. Been putting together baby furniture, which is a pain in the ass, for the past couple of weekends. And also this past week I managed to get myself a sinus infection, so kind of been reeling from that. But that allowed me to sit at the computer and look at some online Fusion 360 course things and get this going. Now, it seems hard, it seems really weird, but once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. I have not touched a CAD program since I was a freshman in high school, so this was in the late 90s is the last time I touched a CAD program, and it looked nothing like this. Okay, most of the stuff we did in school we had to learn by hand and by computer, but that was the last time I ever touched a CAD program. So if I can do this, you guys out there can easily do this. So you guys stay tuned, and hopefully I will have the video together, and I can release these drawings to you guys, and you guys can start making the project on your own. So thanks for watching this video. Just want to let you guys know that I am still breathing, and this is still a project, and it's still in process. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you when we actually make the part.